Welcome to the Chronicles, told by the Oracle. Cases of the missing, murdered, and unsolved. I'd like to thank everyone for watching today, and don't forget to head over to thecertifiedoracle.com, where you'll find source information for today's episode. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss a case. Let's get started with Chronicle number 8, the Morgan Jade Violi case. The year was 1996. Cloning was capturing the fascination of America, right along with the all-new DVD. No more clunky VHS tapes. Now you could watch movies on a digital video disc. How cool. What would you watch first? Maybe Happy Gilmore starring Adam Sandler, or perhaps Biodome starring Pauly Shore. Both are great for a laugh. After the movie, get dressed up in your preppy fashion, or your corduroys and a tank top to go cruise the nearest Burger King parking lot with your friends, listening to some No Diggity, Wannabe, or maybe your jam is Return of the Mac. No matter what the song you were listening to, you were making memories and hanging with your friends. A beautiful 7-year-old girl would never get the opportunity to make those memories, as one summer day she was snatched from a parking lot, leaving her family and neighbors baffled as to how this happened in broad daylight. Morgan Jade Violi was born on November 3rd, 1988, to her parents Glenn and Stacy. She had 2 older sisters, Heather and Nikki. Morgan lived in the Colony Apartments with her mom and 2 sisters in the summer of 1996 in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Her parents had been separated since 1993. Morgan was 7 years old and stood 3 foot 11 inches and weighed only 44 pounds. She was friendly and smart. She loved art and writing and had dreams of growing up and becoming a talented writer. Everywhere she went, Morgan had a smile on her face. She was a polite and friendly girl who was enjoying the sunshine in the summer when the unthinkable happened. June 24th, 1996 was a sunny summer day with temperatures in the 80s, a perfect day to head out to the makeshift play area set back in the woods. Morgan and her friend headed off to play that day and came upon her older sister Heather at the same play area. Heather saw that Morgan didn't have shoes on and told her to go back and put some on. She didn't want her little sister to get her foot hurt while playing in the woods. It was a logical thought. With her infectious smile, Morgan took off through the parking lot with her friend, when a maroon or red van pulled up next to the girls. The man inside would grab Morgan and pull her in. It should be noted that some articles state the man tried to grab the friend first, and she got away, so Morgan was taken. She was screaming frantically as the man grabbed her. Heather heard her sister scream and came running from the play area, only to see a man in a van smiling at her. She then looked around for Morgan and didn't see her, but she saw her friend running through the building screaming herself. Heather thought the 2 must have been playing a game and headed back off to the woods. Morgan's friend and an adult witnessed the abduction. The friend told Morgan's mom she had been kidnapped and the police were alerted. Meanwhile, earlier that morning, Morgan's dad took off to Franklin, Tennessee at 6:30 a.m. to work a construction job with a 6-man crew. Around 11 a.m., they all headed back into Bowling Green for lunch. After Glenn had dropped the man off, he headed over to a bridal shop where he'd be fitted for a tux as his friend was getting married. He would then stop and buy Stacy flowers as he thought they were mending their relationship. However, 2 hours before Morgan vanished, a divorce was granted, along with the fact that he had missed a custody hearing, claiming his lawyer said he need not go. Glenn then headed over to the apartment complex about 30 minutes after the kidnapping occurred. Immediately, Glenn knew something was wrong. He saw red and blue lights everywhere. He never dreamed it would change his life forever. Glenn parked and with the flowers in hand walked up to their complex. He noticed Stacy upset and outside. She saw him and said, "Someone kidnapped Morgan." Confused, he said, "What?" She said, "Someone took our daughter." He thought, how could this be? After police arrived, a search was underway. Police started receiving a new tip every 10 to 15 minutes. Glenn was an artist, and in a haste he drew the man who witnesses described. Some people would say the sketch actually resembled Glenn. Personally, I don't see it. Police would have a perimeter set up around I-65 and were watching every vehicle pass to find the van that had taken a precious little girl away from her family. They would have no luck. How had this huge van evaded authorities? 1996 was the year the Amber Alert was launched, but at this time it was not yet in use. Some wonder if it had been, would she have been found? Earlier that day, before the girls went out to play, Nikki had been riding her bike home to get some water when she passed the van that would take her sister away from her. She states that she passed the van, and the sliding door was open. She said the man inside waved, and she said hi, waving back and continuing on home. This would give police multiple eyewitnesses as to what the man and the van looked like. As police canvassed the neighborhood asking anyone if they had seen this man or the van, several said they had. Some would even say he was driving around the trailer park in the days leading up to Morgan's abduction. The man would be described as a white male in his 20s with collar-length, sandy blonde to light brown hair. Some witnesses would say short and curly blonde hair. Other witnesses said there were 2 men who abducted Morgan that day. The man that witness saw was about 180 pounds. He was a thin man but had defined muscles and a sharp nose that most people remember as his most prominent feature. Some articles say the man had a beard and a mustache. Some say he just had a beard, and others say he just had a mustache. The sketch that you'll find at thecertifiedroracle.com and the one that will be posted up here is the one that is most popularly used. The man was wearing a white t-shirt and blue jeans on the day he snatched Morgan. Where had he taken her? Heather seemed to think there was more than one man that day. She believes this because when she came out after hearing Morgan scream, the man smiling at her was in the driver's seat, and she did not think her sister would just stay back quietly. She feels someone was in the back, keeping her sister from yelling. With 3 composite sketches, it is possible there were 2 men involved with this abduction. 3 days after Morgan was kidnapped, the van they had been looking for was found at a truck stop in Franklin, Tennessee. It turns out the van had been stolen from a resident in Dayton, Ohio, the day before Morgan was taken. Police would link the van to the abduction in March of the following year. However, nothing was released to the public. After the van was found, police would say they had no suspect or person of interest publicly, but behind the scenes they were looking at Morgan's dad, Glenn. Articles state Glenn took 5 polygraphs and failed them all. It should be noted that polygraphs are not admissible in a court of law. Stacy would defend her ex-husband and say he had nothing to do with Morgan's disappearance. Glenn would go on to make himself look bad to police and the public. He would say he used to gather up money from his friends and go to Ohio to buy marijuana for them. He also said he wasn't a drug dealer. The police would look at Glenn for 2 years before finally clearing him of any involvement. Glenn would go on to say that the case could have been solved if they had not spent so much time and energy on him. Sometime after Morgan was taken, there was a possible sighting of her in Fairview, Ohio. The exact time was not listed anywhere I could find. A waitress at an Applebee's had a man and a woman with heavy makeup and a wig come in with a little girl. The little girl looked exactly like Morgan. Playing it cool, she went to wait on the table. As any waitress would, she made small talk and then asked the girl how old she was and what grade she was in. The child responded that she was 7 and in 3rd grade. Most articles state Morgan was going into the 2nd grade, not the 3rd. The waitress would then ask what school the little girl went to, and before she could answer, the woman with all the makeup and wig cut her off and changed the subject. Was the woman in the wig really a man in disguise? Another employee overheard them call the little girl Morgan. Could this have been the little girl taken from Bowling Green? The waitress would report this to law enforcement. 3 months had passed, and on October 20th, 1996, a woman out walking on her land close to White House, Tennessee, would find the remains of a little girl. The remains were badly decomposed. The skull had dark hair and a yellow beret. The day Morgan was kidnapped, she was wearing a white shirt, white shorts with rainbow stripes, and pink jelly shoes. None of these items were ever found with her remains. Police would only say it was now a homicide investigation and would not release a cause of death. Some speculate they may have not known what the cause of death was due to the decomp of the body. The police would inform the Violis of the discovery. The shock would change their lives forever. Glenn could not accept his daughter was killed and went on to tell the media she was still alive. It was more than any family should be put through. In 2015, Timothy Madden would be arrested for the kidnapping and sexual assault and murder of a 7-year-old little girl, Gabby Doolin. She had been at her brother's middle school football game when Timothy lured her away. At 7:40 p.m., the police were called when her mother could not locate her. 25 minutes later, she was found in a small pond behind the football field. She had been sexually assaulted and manually strangled. She had died by that and drowning. Madden was sentenced to life without parole. This brutal crime took place just 25 miles from Bowling Green, Kentucky. It is also said that Glenn and Timothy went to school together, but it is unclear how well they knew each other. Some speculate he abducted and murdered Morgan. However, nothing has tied him to her crime. Police continue to look, and tips are still coming in. Some still consider the dad a suspect. The fact is, no one knows who killed Morgan. All that is known is she is gone, and there is a void in their family. They often wonder what she would be doing now, and all about the life she never got to live. The family is still searching for who took the life of their daughter and sister, and they hope to one day find out, even though they know it will not bring Morgan back. If you have any information on this case, please call the Bowling Green FBI at 270-745-8662. Once again, that's the Bowling Green, Kentucky FBI at 270-745-8662. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and never miss out on an episode. As always, this is the Chronikle signing off.